So one of the most important questions that we can ask as people is, what kind of impact do we have on the world around us? It'd be cool to study the big questions, right? Global climate change comes to mind. So what kind of impact do we have on global climate change? Well, that's a big question. It's so complicated, it's going to be years before scientists can fully answer it. So for today, I've got 2.5 minutes left. Let's go ahead and talk about something smaller. Let's talk about 2 lakes in southeastern Missouri. And let's ask the question, what kind of impact do humans have on small lakes in southeastern Missouri? So we have 2 lakes. One is in a small town in Rolla, Missouri, and it's surrounded by 12 or 15 houses. We'll call it City Lake, okay? The other lake is outside of the city. It's 2-3 miles out, and we'll call it Boondock Lake, because there's nothing around it. Now, if we study these 2 lakes, most of the things that are between the lakes are going to be very similar. So the depth is similar, the kind of water is the same, you have the same weather patterns going on around these 2 lakes. So the differences that we're going to see are actually going to be in the algae. Now, anybody have a fish tank? Couple, all right, thanks. So you know that you've got to go and you've got to scrape that algae off, that green nasty stuff, to keep it from killing your fish, right? Well, algae actually has a really important role in the ecosystem. Algae is actually kind of the base of the ecosystem. It feeds everything else. And so by studying this algae in these 2 lakes, we can get an understanding for what's going on. I mean, all you got to do is you get a little canoe, you go out there with a paddle, you scoop a net through it, and you study the algae that are in the lakes. You take it to your microscope in the lab and look at it, try to go blind. And what we found is that the City Lake has 100 to 1,000 times as much algae as the Boondock Lake. And so that indicates that something's going on there. And the other thing that we can study while we're out at the lake is the nutrient content in our lake. And it turns out that if we look at the nutrients in the City Lake, there's about 4 times as much nutrition for the algae in the City Lake than there is in the Boondock Lake. So that raises the question, what exactly is going on here, right? The most likely explanation is that you and I have impacted this lake. So these 12 houses that are around the lake, and you've got people and they want pretty lawns, so they go out there and they mow the lawn, and that throws that lawn clippings in there. They take some fertilizer, they fertilize the lawn, and that ends up washing into the lake as well. And so these are nutrients, and these feed the algae, which results in an algal bloom, which is just a bunch of algae growing and kind of getting happy. But that gives us the increase in algae that we see between the City Lake and the Boondock Lake. So the next time you'd like to kind of ponder, well, what kind of effect do I have on the world around me? It's probably about 100 to 1,000 times as much as you think. Thank you for your time.